Hey guys, and welcome to my channel. Today we are doing, what if Deku was a villain? I've never met someone like you, but I'm glad I did. Pray you'll have a quirk in your next life, and take a swan dive off the roof. And so Izuku did, but instead of dying he got saved by the villains. Izuku is now known to the public as Deku. And for the past 2 years Deku has been the world's most dangerous and violent villain. But will one little kidnapping of a certain gravity quirk girl change his mind? This is my first story, and it is a Izuchi story, and for some reason I like villain Deku x Hero Ochako. Sorry if there are some spelling mistakes or errors in the story, or if the story is trash, please give me feedback. With that out of the way, let's begin this what if. Third POV, 3 months after Ida's death, UA has officially shut down due to no more staff members. It has come to terms that all of the staff have been murdered. The press wasn't completely correct, they still had a present mic and all might. But who would want to teach at a school that is being targeted by the world's most dangerous villain? The same villain that killed off all the staff, except for All Might and Present Mike. After the school shut down, the kids were forced to go into hiding at their own houses. But like that would do anything, he always finds a way to get to you. Deku's wish came true. UA shut down, and now to end all heroes, then maybe the world will look to him to be their hero? Now that's never gonna happen, since most of the best heroes were working at UA, then it shouldn't be that hard to kill the rest. He might need the help of the League though. The League doesn't really like him anymore though, so he doesn't know if he should drag them into this. Joke doesn't know what to do with her life anymore. Neither does Present Mike. After all, the one they loved is dead. Shota Aizawa is dead. The worst thing was Present Mike never got to tell him how he felt. But he knew anyway that Aizawa loved Ms. Joke. Maybe if Ms. Joke doesn't take it that far and just asks him to be her girlfriend, then he probably would have said yes, and now that Ms. Joke thought about it, she knows she should have just asked to be his girlfriend first. Or maybe he was gay? For Present Mike? She doesn't know either. They both are lost and depressed. So much so they weren't able to tell him before he left, but that doesn't matter. What matters is that he is happily sleeping in a better place now. With his favorite yellow sleeping bag, Deku currently sits on the roof of the old abandoned building that was once called UA. But now that building has lost its name. And since the security of the building was shut down with the building, the place turned into a frequent place Deku goes to now. While I wouldn't blame him, it was peaceful and quiet. And also the dorms turned into his hideout. With the heroes not watching over UA anymore and no one being around this place anymore, Deku made it his home. Now with the staff of UA gone, all he has to do is get rid of the heroes that don't work at UA. And then the students. The students should be easy. Just sneak into their houses while they are asleep and then slit their throats. Well, that's what he did with some of the heroes. And he has already killed half of the heroes that don't work at UA, so all he is left, well, now that he thinks about it, there are only 3 pro heroes left. The 3 being All Might, Endeavor, and Mount Lady. This should be easy, actually don't forget the other 2. Present Mike and MSE Joke. Deku opens his notebook and glues a piece of paper on the notebook paper. That piece of paper had all of Class 1A on it, just 5 more heroes. That is what Class 1A has for comfort, that they are not gonna die now. Currently the whole class is in Ochako's apartment, having a quick group meeting. Look, we're going to have to hold on to hope. I know that this is a terrible situation right now, but we can make it through. Together. We just have to hold on to hope. Ochako tried to explain. But it obviously didn't work. What hope? We have no more hope. All of the heroes are dead right now. And you want us to hold on to false hope? No. That's just not right. Kaminari yelled. They all agreed. Even if it's false hope, we have to believe. Believe that we can make it through. Even if we failed as champions, because we fought our battle, we tried even though we knew that we weren't gonna make it. That's what heroes do. Ochako said. Everyone looked up at her from the ground that they all were sitting on. They thought about what she said, and they agreed. That is what heroes do. And now it's their turn to be heroes and try and get this world out of the hole they're stuck in. Kirishima put his hand out. We do this together. Even if we fail together. Even if we know we are going to fail, we are not going to stop trying. We are a team. Kirishima said. Achiko put her hand on top of his. One by one, everyone's hands join in. They are going to put a stop to him. And if not, then they are going to die trying. MSE Joke and Present Mike are currently mourning on Present Mike's couch. Ugh, I can't believe he's gone. Present Mike puts his hand on his face, covering up the fact that he's crying. Ms. Joke looks over at Present Mike. She does, she can believe that he is gone now. Not that she wants to, she just can't face reality, but still she wonders if Present Mike loved Aizawa more than she did. Present Mike admitted that he loved Aizawa, and so did she. But he can't admit that Aizawa is gone from his life. She can. And she can move on with life, he can't. I wish I could have told him how I felt before he died. Present Mike said. Ms. Joke looks down. Even if Present Mike did tell Aizawa how he truly felt about him, would Aizawa feel the same? Who knows? Not long after the one-way conversation, Ms. Joke left Present Mike's house and went home. She just can't handle the pain anymore. It's getting too bad. Society is starting to frown on heroes because they all are dead, and the ones that are left aren't doing anything to stop Deku. But what are they supposed to do? They can't do anything. But now, if someone recognizes you as a hero, they will boo you and throw shit at you. It was a terrible time, just as Deku wants it to be for heroes. And every hero left knows, Ms. Joke makes it home. She unlocks her door, walks in, and throws the keys on the ground. Isn't it weird when you're a hero that's supposed to make people laugh, but you yourself lost the ability to even smile? She goes into her room and grabs a rope, but now she can't even make someone smile anymore. She ties the rope to her ceiling fan. Pause. Due to the YouTube community guidelines, I will not input the scene here. However, if you're interested in such a scene, the link will be in the description below. Now on to the next scene. Deku walked down a lonely sidewalk and put a line over Ms. Joke and Present Mike's names, for they have died. He no longer needs to worry about them. Now just 3 more. He believes that Endeavor is going to be the hardest, so he might want his team for that one. The worst thing that could happen is all 3 of those heroes teaming up and going at him all at once. If that happens, then Deku was sure that he will lose that fight. Maybe he should ask for more nomas to be made. Then for sure he will win. So maybe he should ask for more nomas so he can go up against Endeavor. Then if All Might is still capable of being in big boy form, then he could use the nomas for him too. Yeah, this is going to definitely be a victory. Deku made it to the bar and went inside. It's been quite a while since he has been here. It doesn't really feel like home anymore, now that he found a new one. Hey, long time no see. Shigaraki greeted him. Deku looked at Shigaraki and waved. You sure have become quiet, the monster. Dabi stated. Deku looked at Dabi. I guess he wasn't going to deny it. Even he knew that he turned into a monster. Dabi smirked. So, who's next? We already know why you're here. When you ask someone how their day went, do you expect them to answer, oh, well, I almost got squashed by a giant titan lady that I was trying to end me. In the end, I eliminated her. I almost got stoned to death by civilians that knew who I was and was trying to save the world from me. I almost died by nomas because in the end of the big fight I eliminated my gang except for the leader of it. And to top it all off, this all happened minutes after the other. Yeah, I think not. And if you do, then you have some crazy friends, but this sums up how killing him the lady went. And the gang, except for Shigaraki. Eliminating the gang was a needed part for Deku's plan. Now Deku has full control over the nomas. Deku scratches Mount Lady's name off the list as he stands on top of the aftermath of his battle. Footsteps could be heard from behind him. Was eliminating the gang really needed, Deku? Shigaraki asked. Deku looked up from his notebook and turned around. You shouldn't have come here, Tamura, Deku said. I would have left you be. Deku put his notebook in one of his pockets. What? You're gonna eliminate me too? Shigaraki tested. Deku only closed his eyes and put his head down. You won't. Shigaraki tested again. Deku whipped out a gun from his pocket, aimed it at Shigaraki's head and fired. Shigaraki's body dropped to the ground. I would. Deku said, "So long, partner." With that, he turned around and walked away. Deku brought out his notebook again and crossed out Shigaraki's name. Ng Todoroki wasn't expecting a pack of big gnomes to just randomly burst through his wall. Nor was he expecting them to all just beat him up. At least he was putting up a good fight, flames here, flames there. Well, there's enough flames for everyone, why not just let them all have some? Or them all. He thought he was winning until he felt something stab him in his spine. He should have known that these gnomes didn't just appear out of nowhere. Someone was after him. But now it was too late, he had already been stabbed, and that was taking him off his guard and then letting the gnomes devour him. Then that was it for him. After getting stabbed, bit, and punched multiple times, he was finally dead. Deku knew that it wasn't going to take him long, and now all that's left is getting rid of his childhood friend. Third POV, it all came too quickly for the class. They turned on the TV to watch the news. What they weren't expecting to come on was the last hero fighting Deku and a bunch of gnomes from USJ. It was obvious that he was losing, so One went to where they were. All Might spot them. "What are you guys doing here?" "Get out of here," he yelled at them. "No. It's obvious that you are losing right now. We are here to help you," Kirishima yelled. "It's not manly at all if we just watch you die." Kirishima looked to where Deku was standing. He's just standing there, watching the scene. That's strange, Kirishima watches Deku like a hawk. But freezes when Deku gives a creepy grin. Then Kirishima notices that two of the gnomes are missing. All Might. Where are the other two gnomes? Kaminari noticed too. All Might turns to Deku. All of a sudden, he feels a sharp pain in his back as he flies across the field and lands right in front of Deku. "So All Might, are you having fun?" "'Cause I sure am," Deku says with a smug grin on his face, looking down at All Might on the ground. At that moment, All Might knew he lost. He couldn't get up. "What's wrong, All Might? You seem to not be getting up like you normally do. You see, what happened to that whole 'do not fear for I am here' thing?" Deku put up quote signs with his fingers. "Or do you remember the boy from 2 years ago? Remember? The one who asked if he can be a quirkless hero?" Deku glared down at All Might. "I am that kid." Tears started to form in Deku's eyes as he remembered that day. All Might's eyes widened. Can I be a hero? Even without a quirk, he couldn't believe it. All this time, he has been fighting a villain that he created. No, I'm afraid not. At this time, the whole class charged at Deku. But they couldn't reach him before getting blown away by 5 gnomes. Shit. We can't reach damn Deku without taking out these fucking brainless shits, Bakugo stated. They do have a brain. See? Jiro pointed to the brain at the top of the gnome's head. Alright, we just need to fight off these big guys, then we go for the final boss, Siro said, getting ready to fight. Soon the whole class joined in to go up against the gnomes. The gnomes all lined up next to each other on the destroyed clear field. The class didn't have to worry about hurting anyone since no one was around for miles. The news people were there, but they were way up in the sky. You guys ready? Katsuki screamed. Yeah. They all replied in unison. Then they all attacked. Siro tried to use his tape on one of the gnomes, but the gnomo ripped itself out of it. Katsuki non-stop exploded one of them. Todoroki iced and fired the gnomes. Achiko used her zero gravity on some gnomes to make them float so her classmates can attack them easier. All Might and Deku watched the class go haywire on the gnomes. I'm impressed. Did you teach them this, All Might? Deku asked All Might. No, they learned this themselves. All Might replied, his eyes not leaving the battle. 1A is getting beaten to a pulp by these gnomes, but they just keep getting back up, not stopping the fight for even 1 second. They will not quit, they will save the world, that's what drove them. Thinking about the simple times before Deku destroyed the earth. And wanting those times back. Though the villains are thanking Deku, Bakugo got thrown to the ground by a Nomu, and is currently getting repeatedly punched by the same Nomu. Kirishima, seeing this, immediately runs to Bakugo's aid. Kirishima runs up to Nomu and punches it, knowing that the punch felt like a fly to Nomu. But Nomu stopped punching Bakugo and looked at Kirishima. Bakugo lies unconscious on the ground, but not dead. The Nomu runs at Kirishima. It was too fast for Kirishima to react, and it hit him with all it had. He goes flying and lands on the ground head first. Ijiro Kirishima, the manliest man you would ever meet. Wanted to be like the hero Crimson Riot. Died saving his best friend. Died by getting his neck snapped, Ijiro. Screamed Mina, who saw him die. She wanted to save him, she knew that he was going to land on his head. But she was too slow, and she saw his neck snap right in front of her eyes. But she was too distracted to notice Nomu right behind her. Mina, watch out, screamed Achiko, who jumped to Mina, picked her up, and carried her out of the way in time before Mina got turned into a pancake. Ijiro, HHE's DDDD- Mina couldn't finish her sentence. The tears coming down Mina's face was like a waterfall. Someone could go swimming in the amount of tears coming down her face. Mina, it's okay. At least he's in a better place. Achiko tried to calm Mina down. Achiko put Mina down and watched over her to make sure no Nomu was going to crush her. Luckily, all Nomus were occupied. The bad thing was that the Nomus were winning. Well, All Might, looks like I will win. Your class is all occupied with the Nomus, which makes me occupied with ending you. Deku took out a knife. Akiko's eyes land on Deku. She saw the knife and knew what he was about to do. Since the Nomus are occupied, it looks like none is going to try and crush Mina anytime soon. So she quickly ran over to Deku. Mina followed. Deku, stop. Achiko screamed, but it was too late. Good night, All Might, and with that, the symbol of peace comes to an end. Ochako's legs stop moving. Mina stops running too. What did I just witness? Mina couldn't comprehend what's happening. She just watched two deaths of two important people in her life. But they both know that there is going to be more. Because they are currently losing the battle. Hell, for all they know, Bakugo is dead right now. Bakugo opens his eyes to the feeling of losing something very important to him. He sits up and looks around. What he sees is his classmates getting the snot beaten out of them on a big dirty field. He looks up and sees the news helicopter, filming everything. Bakugo gets up and walks around, but stops walking when he sees a lifeless redhead on the ground. He kneels down, hoping that it's not who he thinks it is. Katsuki flips the body over, and when he sees who it is, tears uncontrollably left his eyes. Ignoring everything that's happening around him, he hugged the lifeless body like there was no tomorrow. Deku, who was watching Katsuki's reaction to dead Kirishima, walked up to him. Well, isn't that sad? Kachan's friend died. Deku said with a smug grin. Bakugo looked at Deku. Damn it. Why you fucking MMM, he didn't finish his sentence. Katsuki just looked at the ground and continued crying. Deku chuckled. What happened to you? Deku? I thought you wanted to be a hero. What the fuck happened to that? Katsuki yelled. Deku was taken aback. Sure, he did sometimes think about being a hero, but he knows that it's never going to happen. Deku just shook his head. Now, we both know that I was never going to be a hero. So, I guess, I just became a villain instead. Deku said. Katsuki would have gotten up and yelled, "We'll kill you, you bastard," and explode Deku. But he didn't. He no longer had the strength to. So he just sat there in silence, hugging his best friend and crying. Deku silently watched him, before pulling out a gun. He stared at the gun for a minute, remembering all his memories with Kaken. Wow, you really can't do anything, can you, Deku? See? You can spell Deku with the last two letters in Izuku's name. That must be what you call someone who was completely useless, trying to play hero. Huh, Deku, mine skipped 7. How many did you skip, Deku? The best hero always wins in the end. No matter what, yeah, they may have all been bad memories, but he was still with him all throughout his childhood. So it wasn't easy for Deku to put the gun to Kachan's head and say, "Let me help you see him again," and pull the trigger. Deku watched Kachan's body ragdoll to the ground. Deku smiled. Goodbye, hero. That day 19 people died. One got away, and that one person was Achiko Uraraka. The news broadcast of the fight was the only thing that the media is talking about these days. The whole disaster that Deku made. But to Deku, the whole thing was a masterpiece. And Deku was well aware that Achiko got away. He wasn't ready for her to die yet. He still has something that he has to tell her. If only he could. If I could tell her, he would always say. Tell her everything I see. Deku was on his way back to UA when he was suddenly stopped in his tracks by a guy. Come here, he said. Deku followed him into the alley. And now they stand face to face in the alley they walked into. You did something out there. You killed all of the UA staff and students. Why? The guy asked. Deku furrowed his brows. Why do you want to know? Are you another one of those morons on the street that's trying to stop me? Deku asked. No, I'm not that stupid, the guy responded. But did you kill them out of jealousy? The guy randomly asked. Jealousy? What do they have that I should be jealous of? Deku yelled. The ability to be a hero. The guy plainly replied. Deku straightened his back. The guy smirked. So my theory was correct, you still want to be a hero? The guy said. Still? What the hell? Are you stalking me or something? Deku said, concerned, well, sort of. I would like you to say that I have been watching you. The guy said. Would you not? Deku yelled at him again. Sorry, dude. Anyways, there's still a way. The guy got back on track. A way for what? Deku was confused. A way to be a hero. The guy simply put it. Deku stood there for a moment. How? There is no way I can be a hero now. Deku said, yes there is. You can still go to UA too. The guy said. Bitch, I live there. Deku plainly said. Well, no, you can go to school there. And become a hero. The guy said. Holy shit, are you delusional? Is something wrong with your head? The fucking staff and shit is dead. Are you living in the right timeline? Deku yelled. The guy looked at the ground, then backed up at Deku. Yes, I am. The guy calmly said. Then why the fuck Deku got cut off? Because we can turn back time. You just gotta let me touch your head and I will take you back to where it all began, the guy quickly explained. Deku stood there for a minute or two. What's your name? Deku asked. My name is Rikuazachi. Ryuko replied. Deku nodded. I'll think about it. But right now, I have places to be. Deku said, walking out of the alley. Okay, if you ever need me, just say my name. Ryuko said, going the opposite way Deku is going. Deku nodded again. I will. Deku has looked everywhere for her. Everywhere except for her house, which is the only place she could possibly be. Deku enters her house. Ochako. Where are you? I know you're in here. Deku said, dragging out his words. But his victims don't, they think it's creepy when he does that. Achiko knew that he would be coming for her. So she spent her days being paranoid and constantly looking out her windows. But when she saw him, she panicked and hid in the most obvious hiding spot ever. The closet. She just hopes that he's not good at playing hide and seek. But all that hope was crushed when the closet door opened. Deku mentally facepalmed when he saw Achiko in the closet. You know, I was kinda hoping that you would pick a good hiding spot. But all that hope got crushed when I opened that closet. Deku said half-jokingly. Ochako didn't do anything other than nodding her head. They sat and stood in silence for a little bit. Come on. Get out of the closet. Deku demanded. Achiko did as she was told and got out of the closet. What are you going to do with me? Kill me? Just like you did with the others. Achiko said as she sat on her bed. Deku looked at her. It stung his heart that she thought he was going to kill her. It hurt badly just even thinking of hurting her. Deku sighed. No, I'm not going to kill you. You're my favorite. I could never do that to you. So, I'm going to spare you. Deku told her. Ochako looked at him. Then why are you here? Ochako asked. Deku looked at her, she stared back. I just wanted to see you. Deku answered. And I'm going to keep you prisoner. Deku looked at the wall to avoid Akako's annoyed look. In my own house? Ochako asked. Yep. Deku replied. Ochako sighed. Well, actually, I was joking about the prisoner part. I just wanted to be in contact with you again. Deku cleared that up just in case she thought that she wouldn't never again be a free person. Is that why you killed them? Ochako asked, looking down at her feet. Deku looked over at her, then looked down at the ground. No, it was just a plan of mine to get rid of them, he said. They sat in silence for a while. Why are you a villain? Ochako decided to break the silence. Deku thought about how to reply to this question. Well, I didn't have a choice. It all happened too quickly for my brain to even catch up to what I was doing. Deku answered. Well, did you want to be a villain? Ochako asked. Deku didn't know how to answer. No and yes. He wanted the voices to stop, but what he wanted more was to help people. But what will he get out of helping people? No one liked him, and they still don't. Who would want him to be a hero? Nobody. I don't know what I wanted. Deku replied. Ochako went quiet. Do you know what you want now? She asked. No, he doesn't. No was all he said. They both went quiet for a good minute before going into normal conversation until Deku had to go, but Ochako's questions got him thinking about his past. His memories, but now, that's all they are, just memories. The talk he had with Ochako didn't only make him realize that everyone from his memory and childhood is dead, but it made him think about what's left to be done. All the heroes in Japan are dead, and everyone is scared of him. So what now? Well, he could go to every country and kill the heroes in the country, but he doesn't want to do that. Too much traveling. You're going to go see her again? This is the 100th time, a guy said from behind him. I'm sorry, but I don't remember saying Raikou, Deku said, not even bothering to look behind himself. Yeah, I know, I just didn't have anything better to do. So I came to talk to you. Raikou said. Deku nodded his head as he landed on a window frame. Well, you have arrived at your destination, so I take that as my cue to leave. See you later. Raikou said as he jumped away. Hope not. Deku muttered as he opened the window. That window led to a pink room with a certain gravity quirk user girl that goes by the name Ochako Uraraka sitting on the bed in the room. There's a door, you know? Ochako said. Yeah, but what's the fun in that? Deku responded as he sat in the desk chair. Ochako just shook her head. Why you here this time? She asked. Deku smiled and closed his eyes while leaning his head against the chair. Same as always, don't get anything better Taduda, he said. Then came the normal conversation about birds having feelings. It's always a fun time for the two when they get together. Doing stupid stuff, like drawing on each other's face with makeup. Seeing who can fit the most food in each other's mouths. Building couch cushion forts, cooking in ridiculous ways, throwing raw food at the neighbors' houses, toilet papering the neighbors' houses. Graffiti subway trains, the list goes on and on, so it's always an adventure for you. So what are we going to do today? Ochako asked. Deku didn't make a plan for today. You wanna go out? Deku asked, before realizing that it sounded like he just asked her out on a date. He's not gonna lie, he kinda wanted to go out on a date with her. But he remembered when he told her how he felt about her. Ochako's face turned redder than an apple. LLL, like a date? She asked really loudly. Deka's face somehow turned redder than hers. No. I meant, like shopping or something. I noticed that you were quite low on food. Deku said. They spent the whole rest of the day shopping, more like building toilet paper forts and freaking out any customer walking by their fort. Though after 2 hours of doing just that, they finally accomplished getting food. They also had a sword battle before checking out. If anyone saw them, they would be reminded of little kids in the store with their best friend. Achiko has been having the time of her life. She almost completely forgot that Izuku is a villain that killed all of her friends. Almost. She is still aware of that fact. Why did you keep me alive? Ochako asked Deku. Deku immediately looked up at her. What? Did you want me to kill you or something? Deku asked, taking a pocket knife out of his pocket. No. I was just wondering. Achiko quickly cleared that up before she got her throat slit. Well, even if you wanted me to, I couldn't kill you. Deku said, putting the pocket knife back in his pocket. Why? Ochako asked. Then, just like that, the walk home from the grocery store turned into a walk through awkwardness. Finally, they made it home. Deku helped put away groceries, then went back to his home. He didn't know how to answer that question. Was he just supposed to say, because I love you, and then ruin all that he had? No. He finally gets to talk to her again. He's not going to let his feelings ruin that. They already did once, and he learned his lesson. She doesn't like him back. And that's final. So just accept that you're friends, and take what you can. He felt stupid for saying that he couldn't kill her. A week has gone by and nothing interesting has happened. The only thing that has been happening was Deku thinking about life choices. It was quiet, peaceful without the heroes around. Though since no crime has happened lately, people began to go outside again. But it still didn't feel safe for them out there, since no heroes were there to protect them, so getting mugged and getting your purse stolen is popular nowadays. And soon, the police were the only thing protecting the citizens. No one dared to even try and play hero. Deku knew that his mindset was split in two when he started thinking about being a hero. It's what made him not sure about what he wanted to be. He wanted to be a villain to show the heroes that they are all false. And he wanted to be a hero because he wanted to save people. But he knew that becoming a hero was not possible, so he became a hero in his own head. The public forgot how grateful they were to have heroes around to save them. Even if they were fake, they still did their job. And now that they are gone, people feel like their life is on the line at all times. Should I or should I not? Should I or should I not? Should I? Deku kept questioning himself. Well, do I regret my actions? He is confused. I have no choice. Ryku, get your ass over here. Yeah, sometimes Deku can be obnoxious. Here. You know, you don't have to yell out my name. I'm never going to be more than 8 feet away from you. Ryku said. Yeah, I know, you creep. I just like yelling out your name, as weird as it sounds. Deku said, okay then. But why did you call me here? Ryku questioned. Well, how do you know when you regret your actions? Deku asked. Ryku blankly stared at Deku. Does this have anything to do with Ochako? Ryku asked, while leaning his arm on his knee from the tree branch that he is sitting on. Deku and Ryku are currently located inside a forest. It was a forest that Deku often goes to for some peacefulness that nature has to offer, normally when Deku gets tired of sitting on Yue's roof. Well, in a way, yes. Deku answered. Deku was sitting on a rock, big boy rock. Like, the world is different without heroes. Half of the fun came from beating them up. And, well, after all that I have done, Deku started to tear up. I can't even face my own mother. Deku started crying. Every memory of her came back to him. She was always there for him, even through his toughest times. Sure, she did give up on him ever being a hero, but he gave up on himself too. And she was just facing reality. No one believed in him. Even if she didn't believe in him, he still loved her. Hell, he even began missing All Might. Ryku stood there and watched Deku. I think I'll give you some space. Just call my name if you need me again, he said as he jumped away. But he didn't need an answer from Ryku anymore. He already knows, after blowing off some steam, you finally come to terms with yourself. You didn't want the heroes to die, you just wanted revenge and to fit in, and now that they're all gone, you finally understand. Deku knows what his next move is going to be. Should I or should I not? Thank you for making me understand. I should. Third POV. It's hard to turn the page when you know that someone won't be in the next chapter. Deku always carries a gun and knives around, just in case something happens. It's called being paranoid and safe. He also wears the same suit every day. The normal green long-sleeve dress shirt under a black vest, and black dress pants with black dress shoes. That is normal for Deku. He has, like, 20 pairs of the same thing. Deku walks down the sidewalk. It has come to terms with him that he only walks down the sidewalk when it's empty. And it's empty a lot. As he's walking, he takes in everything he can. The way the signs glow at night, and in the day they just hang out there. The beautiful trees, and how the pink petals fly off the branches, the sky and its beautiful white fluffy clouds. Today Deku just finds everything beautiful. As he walks to Akiko's house, he hears Raikou behind him. I know something's up. You never take good looks at the town while you're walking. Deku looks down. I visited my mom today, Deku said. And? Raikou was confused on why Deku told him this. Deku started trembling. I think I killed my own mother. Deku collapsed onto his knees and started bawling his eyes out. Raikou froze, not knowing how to react to this. Not knowing what to do. So, let me get this straight. You went to the apartment that she lives in, and it was destroyed. And you go inside her apartment and find her dead body. Raikou summed it up. Deku only sniffed and nodded. How do you know this was you? Raikou asked. Because, I'm always the one that does this stuff. I may not remember blowing up apartments, but I do know that I may have done this by accident while fighting some hero. Deku said with rage. Not rage at Raikou, but rage toward himself. Raikou rubbed the back of his head. Well, dude, look at it this way. You may not have been the one to kill your mother. It may have been some villain. So try and calm down, it wasn't you. And how I know is, I have been watching you since you first became a villain, and not once did I see you destroy an apartment building. So, it's okay, you didn't kill your mom. Raikou calmed Deku down, and that's not the only problem, is it? Raikou asked. Deku shook his head. Raikou sighed. Fire away, he said. I know how I'm going to spend the rest of my life. Deku said. How? Asked Raikou, behind bars. After finally calming down Raikou, Deku managed to get the rest of the way to Ochako's house. And like normal, he throws a stone at a window and hops in. Deku, for the last time, stop breaking my fucking windows. Ochako yelled. Deku chuckled and got a dustpan so he can clean up his mess. While he was cleaning, he decided to start a conversation with Ochako. So, feel like going out tonight? Deku asked. He actually wanted to go out with Ochako before he turned himself in. Date or not, he wanted to spend his last moments with her. Even if it was boring while sitting in a room. Do you? She asked. Yeah, I want to take you out tonight, Deku said, finishing his sweeping of the glass. Okay, we need to go to the store and buy a window anyway, Ochako said. She then got up and followed Deku to the trash can so he could dump out the glass. Ochako then put on her shoes and they left the house. Deku and Ochako walk up to a restaurant and order their drinks and food. So what do you have planned for tonight? Ochako asked, taking a sip of her drink. Well, how do you know I have a plan? Deku shot back. Ochako smiled. You plan for everything. You can say, I have a plan, and then it turns out that your plan was when and where you were going to use the bathroom, Ochako explained. Deku chuckled. Well, I guess you're right, Deku said, taking a drink of his drink. Please, when am I ever wrong? Ochako jokes, sitting back in her chair. They ate their food, then left the restaurant. So where are we going now? Ochako asked. Deku thought about it for a little bit before coming up with an answer. Well, I want to go here now before it's too late. So, let's go to the amusement park, Deku said, smiling and looking at Ochako. At the sound of going to an amusement park, Ochako looked like a child getting candy. Izuku and Ochako walked through the entrance of the amusement park after paying to get in. The place was packed. But Ochako and Izuku managed to get through the place, jumping into the first line they saw, eager to get onto a ride. they hopped into the seats of a roller coaster after getting their heights checked to see if they are tall enough to get onto the ride. You ready, Deku? From the looks of it, this ride is gonna be scary, Achiko said like an excited 5-year-old. Yeah. It's not like some stupid ride is gonna scare me, Izuku said, putting on a tough guy act. But the tough guy act didn't last once the ride started going up a huge hill. Okay, maybe I am going to be a little scared. But there's no need to be, it's not like I'm going to die, Izuku thought, trying to calm himself down. Then it stopped at the very top of the hill. Here it comes, Achiko yelled, putting her hands up. Alert, alert! The red lights were going off in Dika's head, then down they went and up went Izuku's voice. Ochako was laughing her head off at Izuku's face when the roller coaster was going downhill at full speed. Apparently, much to Izuku's dismay, there was a hidden camera that took pictures of your face at the first scary part of the ride. And they only choose to look at the photo now that they are leaving the place. They played a couple games, which is how Achiko got the green bunny that she is holding, along with the photo. Ugh, just stop laughing already. My face isn't even that funny, Izuku said, embarrassed. Ha, I'm only half laughing. The other half I'm laughing at is that I can hear this image. The sound of you screaming all throughout the ride, Achiko said with a big smile on her face. One thing that Izuku could never forget about her is her smile. He will never get over that smile. The most beautiful thing in the world. The one thing that can light up his worst days. I wasn't screaming through the whole ride, Izuku said, crossing his arms. Oh right, the time that you weren't screaming, the beginning of the ride, Achiko said, smirking. Even after the ride stopped you were still screaming. Have you never been on a roller coaster before? Achiko said, starting to laugh again. Izuku's cheeks reddened with embarrassment. He decided not to say anything back, not that there was something to say back. Then, they finally made it back to Ochako's house. Then Izuku realized that they spent the whole afternoon and some of the night at the amusement park, and now it was time to say goodbye. But Izuku doesn't want to end it here, but what can he do? Izuku stopped walking and started just standing there, thinking. Deku? Achiko also stopped walking. Once she noticed that Izuku was no longer walking by her side, Izuku looked up at Ochako's eyes, and asked something that he never would have thought he would ever ask. Can I stay the night at your house tonight? Raikou fell out of the tree he was in, so, why did you want to spend the night? Achiko couldn't sleep. Neither could Deku. Well, Izuku didn't know how to reply. I didn't want tonight to end. I didn't want to leave you, Izuku said. A blush slowly grew on Ochako's face. She didn't want to leave him either. But she couldn't tell him that. Now that she thinks about it, she realizes that she still has feelings for him. Even while they were split up, she never forgot about him. And those feelings never left her. Not a day went by where she didn't think about him. And yeah, she missed him, and it hurt like hell. No matter how hard she tried to get rid of the feelings, they never went away. Instead, they grew stronger. She hated it. Of all people, why did it have to be a villain? Little did she know that villain that her heart skipped a beat for needed her more than anything. And she needed him. They would be lying if they said that they weren't glad they met. Then finally, Achiko fell asleep on the floor. And Izuku fell asleep on the bed. It took a lot of arguing to figure out who would sleep on the bed. It was morning. The two woke up, told each other good morning, silently ate breakfast, and then silently sat in Ochako's room. Izuku knew that today was the day. The last day that he would ever see her, hear her, smell her. Okay, that's weird, but true. He doesn't know how to bring up the topic. It's now or never. Hey, Ochako? Izuku said. Achiko looked up at him. I got something I want to tell you, he said, a sad expression making its way to his face. Achiko grew worried. What is it, Deku? Achiko asked, worried. Well, you see, today is the last day I am going to ever see you. I have made a choice to turn myself in. And knowing how many things I did, I am going to be locked up for the rest of my life. So, I just want to say goodbye. Izuku said, getting up to leave. Achiko sat there for a moment, thinking about everything that she just heard. Then it finally hit her. She will never ever see him. Never see him ever again. Wait. Deku. Are you sure about this? Achiko asked, tearing up a bit. Deku nodded. What I did to your friends was not right. I was jealous that they got to be a hero and I didn't. I got my dream to be a hero crushed by a hero. So I thought that every hero was a fake, so I decided to get my payback through killing them all. But I guess that wasn't the answer. Deku said, looking at the ground through shame. Achiko stared at him. She thought for a while. Well, it is the last time I will ever see him. I have to let him know, she thought. Well, Deku. I have something I need to tell you. Achiko said. Deku looked up at her. Remember when you told me how you felt about me? She asked. Deku's cheeks grew red and he nodded. Is she just going to tell me that she doesn't feel the same about me again? She really hates me, doesn't she? He thought. Well, when I said I don't feel the same way about you, I lied. Deku, from when you kidnapped me up to this day, I have been in love with you. At that time, I thought it would be better if we didn't date. And I still do. But before you leave, I just want you to know that I love you, Achiko said, tears streaming out of her eyes and her cheeks red. Deku was the color of a strawberry. He thought that she was just going to make him more aware that she hated him, but it was the complete opposite. He couldn't help it. He walked up to her, tilted her head up by putting his finger under her chin, and bent down and kissed her. Another thing he wanted to do before she left. It was short and sweet, and taste that Deku would never forget. They separated and looked into each other's eyes, a deep red blush covering their cheeks. They sat down at the end of Ochako's bed and just started talking about memories they had together. From the entrance exam to when he kidnapped her. From when he kidnapped her to what happened while they were separated, and of course, about their pasts. They talked until it started getting dark. Well, I have to leave now. Deku said, getting up and walking to the window. Achiko also stood up and looked at her feet. Deku, I have a favor that I need you to do for me. Achiko said in a serious tone. Deku stopped walking, his back turned to her. He looked over his shoulder at her. To show that he was listening, Achiko stood there for a little bit, wondering on how to put what she was about to say. Kill me, Ochako said, looking up at him. Deku froze, then turned around to look at her. Oka. He trailed off, not knowing how to reply to that. Achiko looked him in the eye, then quickly looked back down at her feet. Well, I got nothing left for me here. Half of the town is in hiding and everyone I knew is now dead. I have nothing left, and without you here, well, I may be better off dead. Achiko said. Deku stood there for a while. Well, do you really want me to do this? Deku said. Achiko nodded. I have told you, even if you want me to, I can't kill you, Achiko. Deku said, his eyes tearing up. I know. And sometimes, you have to do the things you don't want to do. Achiko said, with trembling hands. Deku took the gun out of his pocket and pointed it at Ochako's head. Achiko looked up at Deku, muttering her last words, I love you, Deku. Bang, her lifeless body dropped to the floor. Deku dropped the gun and ran to her. He stared at her body, then clasped onto his knees and picked up the now dead Ochako. He brought the body to him as close as possible and hugged it like there was no tomorrow. He cried more than he ever had that night. The next day, Deku made it to the police station. Once he walked in, the police either drew their weapon or ran away. But they were surprised when he held out his hands for the police to cuff them. They did Deku's mugshots, changed him into jail clothes, and put him in a high-security prison cell, and for the past year. That's where Deku has been, and then alarms started going off. There was a bang, no not one, lots of bangs. Then an explosion happened right in front of Deku's face. Come on. Hurry! The person yelled as he unchained Deku. Deku just took the orders and ran with the dude. Once they were far away from the police and police station, they stopped running to catch their breaths. Deku looked up to see who saved him, and to his surprise, it was Raikou. What? Raikou? Deku really was surprised. Raikou, to Deku, never really was the type to do something like this. But then again, he is comfortable talking to the number one villain. Surprise? Rika shrugged, Deku smiled and chuckled. Why did you break me out? Deku asked, serious now. What? A year wasn't enough for you? Come on, man. Raikou said. Deku looked at the ground. I want to pay for what I did. Deku said. I know you do. But you know what else you can do, you can fix what you did. It was a mistake, so learn from it, and take your second chance. Raikou told Deku. Deku looked up at Raikou. After all, it was a mistake. And Raikou is correct, learn from that mistake, and fix it. Deku nodded, okay, I will take my second chance. Deku said. Raikou smiled. Okay, I will take you back to where it all began. Raikou said, putting his hand on Deku's forehead. Raikou's hand lit plain white for a little bit, then all of a sudden Deku's life went in reverse, then he blacked out, Deku's eyes shot open. Ah. Good. Thought I lost you there, a booming voice said from in front of him. Deku looked at his surroundings. Then noticed All Might was in front of him. Deku was speechless. So, this is where it began, where I became a villain. Well, technically, he became a villain when he jumped off the school roof. But there must have been another choice he could have made. The choice to become a hero. He really did get a second chance. Third POV, even though Deku has been through All Might crushing his dreams before, it still hurts. But this time, he didn't give up that easily. For he has already been down that path and it didn't end well. He still feels the pain from killing Uraraka, he just hopes that he can see her again. Deku isn't gonna lie, he misses her. Deku walks down the road, feeling like he forgot something that happened at this moment. Okay, let's remember all that happened this day. I walked down a tunnel, the sludge thing got me, All Might saved me. Yeah, well, what happened before that? I still feel like I forgot something. Deku couldn't get that feeling off him. How about, what drove me to take the jump off of the building? Then it hit Deku. Kakin told him to kill himself. Kakin, sludge villain. Deku went sprinting the other direction, trying to get there in time before the sludge villain kills Kakin. Luckily Deku made it there in time and did the same actions he did last time. A whole 7 months passed, and what happened in those 7 months was nothing but training. After the sludge thing, All Might stopped Deku in his path and told Deku that he was going to get his power. So Deku has been working his body out because he lost his original strength. Later he actually got the beach done and he got All Might's power. What a surprise it was to have to eat the number one hero's hair. Young man, eat this. After eating the hair, Deku has been non-stop training so he doesn't break his bones while using One for All, which is the name of All Might's quirk. Sometimes walking in public is uncomfortable for Deku, he was always used to hiding what he looks like. And now he is freely walking around. Deku still gets bullied, but sometimes Deku fights them off. Which only is making it worse, but at least he's starting to fight back. He is still tired of the bully's shit. Sometimes people don't change that easily, he still acts like an asshole sometimes. And he makes smart-ass remarks. Like that time that All Might tried to make Deku pull a fridge with him on top of it. Young man, don't you know people move these every day? All Might said. Yeah, and it would be easier for me if your fat ass wasn't on top of it. Deku shot back. All Might's sweat dropped. It was obvious to All Might that Izuku didn't like him, but he is starting to act a little kinder towards him once All Might gave Deku his quirk. The students at school have noticed Deku's change too. Whenever a teacher calls him out, Izuku replies with something like, "What? Are you trying to call me out because I'm quirkless? Huh? What the hell kind of teacher are you? If you don't like kids, then walk your ass out that door right now." When Deku has outbursts like this, then the kids try not to look at him or draw his attention to them. And the teachers just try to talk to someone else. 50 outbursts later, the teachers just stopped calling on him for reading and crap like that. They only said his name when it was roll call. When the bullies come at him, Deku grabs whatever he sees could be used as a weapon and tries to beat the shit out of them. Deku was never again the only one coming out of the fight with a black eye. Kakin's lackeys slowly started to back off of Deku, but Kakin never had enough. Violent as ever. Deku made a vow to never kill someone or hurt someone without a reason to. But that doesn't mean that he wouldn't fight back. He is still mentally the same villain. Deku walks up to the entrance of UA. The thoughts of the last entrance exam play inside his head. Okay, this time, I am going to get points. Deku starts to walk into UA. But just like last time, he wasn't watching where he was walking and tripped over his own foot. Like a dumbass. Oh, great, Deku thought as he was falling. Wait, last time I tripped, that was when? He didn't need to finish, for he heard a sweet voice behind him. Hee, are you okay? She asked. Deku blushed red and looked at the girl behind him. It's her. He didn't get to have much conversation with the girl. Actually, he had no conversation. He, again, stumbled on his own name. And he couldn't get a word out of his mouth. What he could get out of his mouth was, before he knew it, he was standing outside waiting for Present Mike to tell him and the other kids to go and destroy robots. I swear to God, if these shits steal all my points again, I just don't know, Deku thought, with a death aura appearing around him. But that death aura soon disappeared once he caught sight of a certain chocolate female, Geo. Present Mike screamed and Deku took off in the blink of an eye. Turns out, the shits did steal his points again. He also had to save Uraraka from the 0-pointer again. But this time he saved her in a different way. He completely destroyed the thing with his new quirk. And that earned him 60 points. Seeing that he got into UA, he wasn't really comfortable with that. Him killing all the kids in his last try at life is making him going to UA not really sit well in his stomach. Deku currently sits at home in his room on his bed, lifting a dumbbell, training. While doing this, he is lost in thought. Thinking about how to better himself, he doesn't want to get into UA with the attitude of his. But then look at Bakugo, getting into UA while acting like a complete villain, but hopefully Bakugo will change and stop acting like a complete jerk, right? Probably not, that will just have to be something that the future will decide. Somehow Deku remembers the way to his classroom. As fate decided, he got the same classroom. Class 1A. Now that Deku thinks about it, he is fine with Kaken acting like a complete jerk, at least he is alive. Deku makes it to the door. He opens the door to see Bakugo arguing with Ida. Then everybody's eyes shift to the door to see who came in. Deku was tempted to just close the door and walk out of the building right then and there, but he knew, if he wanted to be a hero, then this is what you're gonna have to do. No matter how much you hate attention, you're gonna have to deal with it. Hey, I recognize that bushy hair, a voice said from behind him. Deku's eyes widened, and just like how she knew his hair, falling boy. Achiko said as a large smile grew on Deku's face. He turned around, he knew her voice. Achiko smiled brightly as she whispered something that only her and Deku could hear. I'm glad you changed your mind, Deku, now let's try again, but better. Now, Deku sometimes wondered how she remembered everything. But it would make sense why he saw Raikou smiling at him from across the street from time to time. Some people change, they grow. It's like a child getting over the TV shows that they used to watch. And some people needed another person in order for them to change. Ochako changed Izuku. And Izuku taught Ochako that not all villains are who they seem to be. Now they both stand in front of their UA friend and their families, holding hands in dress clothes. Kissing. And if you look at their fingers, you would see that they both have shiny diamond rings on their ring finger. Sometimes Achiko wonders how she fell for someone like him. Izuku and Achiko both stand out in the night, watching the fireworks. Izuku and Achiko both feel and tug on their pants. Achiko looks down and picks up the small child, holding her in her arms, as now all three of them are watching the fireworks. If the two never met, then they wouldn't have realized that deep down inside every villain is something that they have lost the ability to show. Kindness, friendship, mercy. Izuku sits beside a grave, he gently lays flowers in front of the grave. I miss you. I love you, Achiko. Every villain has this side that they can no longer show, for they haven't come to the right terms, they haven't met the right people, and that side is a villain's bright side. That's it for this part. I hope you guys enjoyed this part. If you want more, like this video, hit that notification bell, and maybe even give a comment on your thoughts on the video. With that being said, I'll see you all in the next series.